Let's have a look. Who we got in chat tonight then? Let's see. We got here. Let's sort out this chat window. How we doing? Andrew, how you doing, mate? Alec, Ryan, Roaring Waves, how you doing? Oh, that's my phone ringing. Yeah, let's sort out this chat box so I can see you properly. So yeah, anybody had any shoots this year already? Anybody had any photo shoots this year that they pretty happy about, paid or otherwise? Testing ideas. Yeah, I'd be interested to see what you guys have been shooting, unless you've already shared images in the chat of what you've been shooting. That'd be cool. Yeah. Yeah, Roaring, how you doing? Ryan, mate, good to see you again. Alec, good to see you in here, mate. Hi, JHP. Well, thinking of buying 2 EOS Pro 2s. Okay, interesting, nice. That sounds like a good idea. I mean, they are excellent lights, absolutely excellent lights. You're going for the pros, as right as well, by the looks of it here. Thinking of buying 2 EOS 2 Pros. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any of the pros yet. Obviously, I've used them on a couple of shoots that I was when I was testing them for Rotolight late last year. So I mean, they're like 25% brighter. So that's a huge plus. You know, if you're looking at LEDs, especially when you're using them in the ambient mode, I don't think they're brighter in the flash mode, but they're 25% brighter when in the ambient mode, right? So I think like the flash, so like the bulbs at the moment are already, when they pulse at flash, they're already sort of like overclocked at their max brightness already. But if you're going to be using them for ambient, which is, like, to be perfectly honest, that's what I use them for, is in their ambient mode, mainly because, you know, it's just super easy, right? So yeah, I think that'd be awesome. I'm not sure when are they coming out. I know they did their Indiegogo, but I'm not sure when they're being shipped or available. Happy New Year, Andrew. Yeah, how you doing? Dave says welcome to the 122nd of January. Hey, wait for payday. I mean, that's true. Yeah, in January, you're right. Sorry, mate. Yeah, that is a good point, actually. Yeah, at the end of Jan. I mean, just be thankful you're not in my shoes where I have to do my tax return. So I'm waiting for that massive bill. Can't absolutely over the moon about that. Yeah, so I sent off all my bits to the accountant late last week. I know, not as organised as others. I get it, but yeah. So, and now I just got to wait to see what massive bill I get back from the government. I say massive bill. Oh, yeah, it's going to be huge. It will be some money. Yeah, Happy New Year, Roaring. How you doing? Mikhail, how you doing? Michael, nailed it. How you doing, Fernando? In Spain, how you doing, mate? You're a couple hours ahead from us here, right? Steve, yeah, thank you, Roaring. I mean, I'm probably not going to remember that. That's nothing to do with you personally. My memory for names is terrible. So if I call you Roaring, then yeah, please don't be offended. Yep, Naked Lady and Snake. Nice. That was your shoot earlier in the year, I take it. This year so far, yeah. So Ryan says he's testing new ideas this weekend. Oh yeah, that's cool, man. I've actually been super fortunate. This is kind of a weird time of the year, business-wise. It's super tempting to do soddle when it's quiet like this, but I've actually been testing a bunch of new ideas. So some of those you guys have seen me sharing, like the back of cam shots, where I'm testing some ideas. Christ, how long has it been since I've done a live stream? I am like, just really making it up as I go along. Yeah, so let's have a look. Let's have a look. What have I been shooting recently? Oh yeah, so testing out some new bits here last week. This was some stuff for Technique Tuesday, and then yeah, testing out. So these are two like LED tubes that I bought like years ago to test out LEDs. I'm talking years and years ago, but they're the crappy like 15 quid DJ like school disco LED tubes, right? So I've just suspended them behind the model, like the join between the two tubes is hidden behind her head there. So I was just playing around with that and some haze and that sort of thing. So it was kind of cool. It's kind of cool. It's super dark though. I think I was actually shooting this at like 1600 ISO or something like that. But you know, it is what it is. And it's super dark, as in those crappy school disco tubes are not very bright. Yeah. To give you some idea, I have a Godox SZ150R or something like that, which is like a 150 watt LED head, and that was lighting her to camera left here, and like that's at 1% power. Like it was literally at 1% power. So yeah, that's what's lighting her there. So like that's how dark these were. I was trying to balance this background light with the light I had. Yeah, and it was as a 1%. So, but all fun. So here's kind of interesting as well, playing with different filters as well. So you see we got some bloom and halation here. So I'm playing with different things in front of the lens, which is kind of cool when you've got lights behind. So I just got scrim and then some lights behind. But yeah, pretty cool. As always, oh, that was the image I got. I won't go back to it, but there was an image. So there's an image to the right here, which I got a warning from Facebook for content. Yeah, it's just an Instagram. So it's an Instagram. This Stay Inspired post I did last week. So it's images from Instagram that I'm sharing on here as a Stay Inspired post, and then I get a warning for it. It looks like they've. When I said no, it's fine. It looks like they've okayed it. I do find this interesting though. Every time I've been doing this more recently, where I'm uploading back of cam shots for you guys to look at, and I do kind of keep a track of what you guys are looking at in terms of what you like. So these ones, like this, I thought was really cool. Okay, that fair enough. It's just a test. This one was okay. So like this, I thought was really cool. Not so much. And then like the Technique Tuesday setup that I knock out real quick, you guys go mad for. Sometimes it's no. Who knows what's going to look cool and what's to other people or not. It's bizarre. See, I loved these so much, but yeah, it wasn't as popular. Who knows? That's the audience for you, though, isn't it? Can't be trusted. Yeah, these as well. This was an experiment which I absolutely loved how these turned out. These are all shot in camera using some long exposure and flash combined. I love how these turned out, but a little bit kind of pretty different to what I would normally shoot, but a lot of fun to play around with, just because there's a lot going on with long different exposures, different color temperatures and that sort of stuff. So it's been cool. Yeah, it has been cool playing around with bits. Yeah. Right, where do we get to? Here we go. Let's see what we got. Couple of studios, but not shooting myself. Okay. Oh, as in, so you're going to studio days, not like ones that you haven't set up shoots, as it were. Yeah. So Ryan says, just got an update from the Indiegogo. So we were talking about the Rotolight EOS Pros and Neo Pros. That's what he's referring to here. Update from the Indiegogo. Looks like the new Pro Rotolights are shipping this week and next week. Really, Ryan? Really? Now, you're talking about this. I actually got an interesting email from Rotolight, from the top brass there at Rotolight today, and they sent me some firmware for the lights when they actually arrive, and which I think the firmware works on the old lights as well. And interesting tech that they've kind of done with the software, in that if you have the latest update of the app, you should be able to take a picture of something like a color, right? So take a picture with the app, so the Rotalight app, right? Take a picture of it, and then the color that you take a picture of will be instantly available from that light. Kind of interesting. I think I'll download it and get it set up. Next time we do a stream, maybe we'll have a little bit of a play with that and see what it's like. But yeah, we'll see. It sounds kind of too good to be true. If you're color matching something, like I said, if you're doing, still life, or I don't know, still life, right? And you want to, you photograph in your pack of M&Ms, and you want to get that exact yellow. Get the Rotalight app, point it at whatever thing you're trying to shoot. Boom. According to what they're saying, it'll give you the exact color. So, like I said, I'll have to test that, play around with it, because, okay, what about Kelvin? What do we set in the camera to so that this works every single time? What is going to be the Kelvin of that color? I'll try and get some details. And next time we do a live stream, maybe I'll set up a light here and see if I can get it working. That'd be cool. Cool. Alex says, Alex, have you got a shoot on 1st of Feb? Yeah. Michael's getting some paid gigs. Nice. GG's, mate. I love to see it. Good for you, man. Good for you. Yeah, congrats on that. That is awesome news. Yeah. I mean, it all snowballs from here, man. Just as soon as you break the ice on it, as soon as you start getting any paid gigs coming in, it'll start to flow from here, man. Yeah, definitely. So Alex saying 1st of Feb maybe for the pros. Okay, interesting. So they'll be able to buy them. Yeah. Oh, Mikhail. Oh, thank you, Mikhail. I appreciate that. I will do my best to not butcher your name again. Dave says first studio shoot 2023 Garden of Eden vibes. Okay, nice. Thank you, Fernando. Hey, thank you. Appreciate that. So, Steve, that's right. Yeah, you do. Yeah, where's that studio? Steve, you're down south, right? So Dave says, we've been so looking forward to this edition of the app, color matching remotely. Yeah, I'll let you know how it works, man. Yeah. Hey, Bob, how you doing, mate? Welcome. I'll be interested to see how that works. I mean, I think it'd be incredible if it works. I think maybe I just need to test it. Like I said, it's not even a concern. My biggest question is what Kelvin do we need to be running it at, right, to make it work. So that the color that they think is accurate. I'm guessing like 5,500 Kelvin, right? You would need your camera set to. Yeah. Weymouth, Steve. Okay, cool. Gotcha. Nice, Dave. Yeah, I'll have a look at those. Yeah, that's cool. So what we can do today, if you're new here, like Bob, I normally try and do these live streams every couple of weeks. So every Monday I do share a shoot, which is what this is. This was the post I put up last night, and in the share a shoot, I just get you guys to pop images in the comments that you'd like to share. I'm just going to refresh this. I think people have added a couple of shots, and yeah, so normally what I would do is if you want CC or feedback on the shots, then every other week I would just do it with text, give you some feedback, and then every other week, like this one, a live stream, I go through the images and give some feedback live on stream, have a chat. So we normally break that up, going through your shots and then us talking about a topic, whatever it is, week to week, which has kind of worked out so far. And I kind of enjoy those because there's usually a lot of useful comments in chat from people. Hey Sam, how you doing? Talking about things that maybe I wasn't aware of. In fact, some of the things we're going to be talking about here today was stuff that I heard from you guys in chat. So I think it's kind of best of both worlds. I get to learn some bits from you guys. You guys get to hear some bits as well. So kind of works out, right? So let's have a look at all the images we've got in here. Yeah, so the topic we're going to talk about today is, I just want to have a talk about some Photoshop techniques and even some plugins and apps where we can do sort of adjustments to our image, and really I'm looking at kind of, like I said in the title, like de-hancing or degrading an image to take off some of that digital sharpness that we may be used to, and just trying to find a way of taking some of the edge off these shots. And the reason that kind of came about was I did a shoot recently. Let me see if I can bring it up here. Yeah, so I did a shoot recently, and I haven't shared these yet, so you know, I'm just playing with these at the moment. So I did a shoot recently, and like I was really happy with how they came out, but I kind of struggled with, I don't know if you guys can see it on your screen. We kind of have like some little bits of artifacts that I'm kind of not cool with, and that's mainly because the projector that I'm using could be could have more pixels. Right, the more pixels you have, the less of this artifacting that we're going to see. So I kind of wanted to maybe lean into this image just being a little bit downgraded, as it were. I didn't want it to be too sharp, right? Because as soon as I start to sharpen this image, all these, you know, artifacts from the projector and pixels are going to be super sharp, which is what I don't want. So I was kind of thinking about some sort of digital technique that I could apply to it to just kind of grunge it up a little bit to lean into these being a little bit softer and not worrying about them being too sharp. And a couple of you guys mentioned a piece of software a while back called like Boris FX. And I think some of you said, look, you know, Jake, it's free to download. Give it a trial. So this is Boris FX, and look, some of the stuff it does is nuts, right? Has anybody used this? Has anybody played with it? I think some of you already have done, but yeah, anybody play with this sort of thing? Because look, I mean, they do like film stuff. Like this seems to be where Boris FX came from, was originally for a film, like moving images, right? So you could apply effects to video, and some of it's nuts. Like some of the things that it can do, you know, is pretty crazy, but it is not cheap. There you go. So we just got this. I mean, it does a lot. It's very comprehensive, and you can see what it's doing here with moving images as well, basically masking and stuff of moving images. Jesus, yeah, it's crazy. So I don't do any moving image, but you know, this is not cheap, right? So $175 a month. This is not a one-off purchase, a month, or you know, for the low price of $1,300 a year. But that's the video stuff. So they do other bits as well. They've got other ones here as well. So this is, you know, it's just like snippets of the full version, and this looks pretty cool. And I was kind of interested in a lot of the effects that this had, but they really only have it working on as a plugin for other pieces, for like video software, right? Supported hosts. No. I can't remember what it was, but it's basically so like it was but yeah, again, you got all, like, it's super easy with regards to all the presets that they've got in there, stuff like this that you can just do on video and that sort of thing. But again, yeah, like I said, you would need like a fairly heavy duty video editing software for it to be best, for you to take full advantage of it. Yeah, okay. But they also they got other bits here, that sort of stuff. And then it looks like fairly recently, that within the last couple of years, they actually released something for stills like us, right? So this will be a plugin or a standalone piece of software, and you plug it into Lightroom or Photoshop. So again, you can do these sorts of things. And I was like, well, again, that seems like video, but you basically run these effects, and then you can hit pause or whatever it is, or adjust where you want to export like a high res version of these particles. It's like this sort of thing, right? This sort of thing. So we'll jump in there in a minute and have a look. The other one just wanted to look at was something that I came across when I wasn't totally sold on Boris FX there. So the other one I came across was this one called De-hancing. So this is a flat off fee of $200 here, and again, it works with I think it's standalone, but it works as a plugin for Photoshop and Lightroom. Does anybody use this one? Actually seemed pretty cool. We're gonna have a play with it in a minute, see what it does. But again, does great stuff for making your images, like I said, like de-hance or like downgrading them to like vintage style lenses and that sort of thing. Yeah, so kind of interesting. So have a play with that. Oh, thanks, Steve. have a beer for me, will you? Hey Wibbly, how you doing, mate? So Dave says, yeah, it's something I'm just getting used to now. Always felt my shots were missing something and found it's just too clean. Mixing overlays and film looks finally gave me that final look. Okay, Dave. Yeah. So what are you using then, Dave? Are you using something like this, or are you just using standalone techniques that you've developed in Photoshop? So what I mean is you're not using any third-party piece of software. Edgar says, do you add 3D LUTs to your work? No, I do not. I do not use the LUTs or the lookup tables, as you mentioned. I do all of my color grading. I do most of it in Lightroom, and then I will tighten everything up color-wise afterwards in Photoshop. And I would do that with the channel mixer for the most part, and also curves. Yeah. Hey Darius, how you doing, mate? So yeah, so does anybody in fact does anybody do, you see, like Dave says here, it felt like I was missing something. I found it's just too clean, so I started mixing in overlays and film looks, to try and get that final look that I'm sort of happier with. Does anybody downgrade or degrade or de-hance, whatever you want to call it? Really don't want to use the word sort of vintage here or grunge, but yeah, does anybody actually do anything like that to their images to kind of just knock a little bit of the sharpness out of them? So Dave says he uses Boris FX and Nik software. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. So I haven't played with Nik. Is Nik software standalone, or is it just a plugin for Lightroom and Photoshop? So Nigel says, hey, doing Nigel? So Nigel says, sometimes I dip into Exposure 6 film simulation. Okay, interesting. Again, I have not heard of that one. Let's have a look. Is this it? Yeah, this must be it, Nigel, right? Okay, yeah, not heard of this one. Okay, what drew you to this then over some of the other options? Was it just cheap, or was it just felt like it had the looks you were after, in terms of it had like the film emulations that you were familiar with and wanted to see more of? I mean, I presume there's a whole bunch of these out there, right? Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Standalone editor and Photoshop and Lightroom plugin, so you can do either or. Okay, so you can do, so you can use it within Photoshop, yeah, which is cool. Yeah. Okay. And maybe I'll have a look at that one. They've got a free trial. Like, what's the free trial like? Oh, 30 days. Okay. That's a nice shot. Beautiful image, that one. Might have to, what's his name? Alejandro. Might have to have a look at his work. That's gorgeous. Love that. Alright, 30 days. Yeah, maybe we'll have to check that one out. Yeah, okay. Oh, they're all coming out of Woodwork now. Okay, just adding grain in Lightroom, but I'd like a better way of giving things a downgraded look. All right, Ryan. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna show you some things that I've been playing with this week as well. So like I said, we're going to play with Boris FX and Dehancer here. Just have a quick poke around in those, and then I'll show you some of the things that I've sort of been practicing or playing with. See if any of that sits with you. So Steve says Nick can plug into Photoshop. Nice, yeah. Which is, I mean, it's just easier, right? I mean, I actually started off using Boris and Dehancer as standalone, and then I realised that they also simultaneously were in Photoshop, so I was just using them in there. And then Edgar says he uses Lumina Neo. Okay. Decline all. Okay, so what does this fella do then? Oh, there's a bunch of things. So it does basically like resharpen, upscale. Oh, okay, so it does a bunch of focus. Oh, okay, that's cool. Focus stacking. So you've got some blooms and stuff there. Okay. Okay, God, there's so many, right? It's nuts. Yeah, I mean, all of them do pretty similar. What's this one? Oh, replacing the sky. I was like, mate, really? I mean, you had all that, like, just by sharpening your image. Look at what you can get. Nice. Composition. Also, they do. Oh, so they've got skin smoothing as well. Okay. Structure just sounds like high pass to me. A little bit sus. Super contrast. Okay. This is the thing, right? This is the thing, guys. This is what I kind of came across when I was playing with some of these plugins yesterday and the day before. I was like, I just feel like with some of these plugins, most of them are using the power of Photoshop. So they're already doing things that you could do in Photoshop. It's just that they're making it easier for you to do, right? Or it's just a one-click solution. Like nothing wrong with that. I'm just kind of, when I was going through some of these, I was like, do you know what? I reckon I could probably muddle my way through and do something similar in Photoshop without spending $1,300 a year. You know? No, I'm exaggerating. Of course, I can't do what Boris FX can do video-wise, but yeah, it is a lot of these. But by the looks of it, looks like you could do this in Photoshop for these ones. But again, like if you can just have it at the press of a button, why not use it? How much is this then? Marketplace, is that what we're looking at? So they got some presets there, or is this is not it then? Products. It's my first time using the internet, guys. You gotta bear with me. View plans. I did it, guys. Don't worry, I got you. Okay, so look, you know, it's reasonable. You know, 130 quid all in for one-time purchase. See, I like this when companies do this. I'm into this. They go, look, if you wanna pay for it for a month, try it out for a month, or you know, use it for a month, or maybe you've got a job coming up and you want to use it just that month. You can just pay £7, or you go, do you know what? Let's just grab it and it's done. Then I kind of like that. I like this option. Yeah, that's cool. So Nigel says use it as a Photoshop plugin. I think I tried it years ago on the Lara Jade workshop and like some of the film looks. Okay, so you saw it from there. You saw some of the film looks. Okay. Have you tried any others, Nigel? Because then, no offense to Lara or yourself, but that was a long time ago, right? So I think there's obviously tons out there now. Steve says I have the X7 bundle, but prefer the Boris FX layout. Do you prefer the Boris FX layout? Okay. I found the Boris, I mean, and we'll have a look in a second, but I found the Boris one to be a little bit aged. We'll have a look at De-hancing. I actually really like the way that was laid out. Hey Danny, how you doing, mate? Danny says he uses Affinity Photo. Does anybody else use Affinity? I mean, because I occasionally look in on it, and it's pretty impressive these days. It's nuts. What I mean, you know, if if I think you were like, you know what, I am done giving Adobe all this money for sod all updates, I think I'm going to go over to Affinity. I don't think you would need to spend a huge amount of time over there before you were like, you know what, I feel like I could get back to it comfortably, like to where I was. It's really good. They have frequency separation built in, solid for the Mac. Gotcha. Okay, Danny. Okay, yeah. This is, but then we come back to, can money buy better images without the need to learn? Question. Yeah, that's true, Dave. Yes, that's true. Yeah, and it is. I think one of those things as well is it can be sometimes you can go, well, you just Google that and somebody on YouTube would tell you how to do it. I know, but what am I like? I don't even know what I'm Googling. I don't even know what I want to try and do yet. I know I want to make my images look better in a certain way, but I don't even know what to kind of Google, right? I mean, I've been shooting for a long time, so I kind of knew what I was after in terms of a look. So it was a little bit easier for me, but you're right, yeah, and unless you know what you're looking for, it's very difficult to get that kind of information back out of it. So Danny says, does everything Photoshop does, and it's easier to use, no monthly charge, and they are doing AI, right? Well, we don't want anything to do with that, Danny. We don't need to be using that blasphemy in here, please. Danny, what are they doing with AI then? So what are they doing? Are they looking at images? Like when you say they're using AI, because like Photoshop has these neural filters, and that uses like the cloud system to work on images, which I presume is looking at an image and making adjustments based on knowledge of past images to go, yeah, this is better, this is an improvement. Right, because how does a piece of software know how to improve an image unless it's got background data to work on? So is that what you're saying? Like, are they using AI to enhance images? Nigel says, tried some of the video ones in day job, but mostly stick core Lightroom Photoshop features. Yes, some of the Red Giant suite for video work. Okay, yeah. See, I know zero about video stuff, so yeah. So Bob says, I've stopped paying Adobe at CS5 and use Luminary's AI and Neo and Affinity now. So you use Affinity as well? Nice, yeah. I've been paid for all the shoots and I've used them on, so I'm more than happy. Oh, mate, absolutely, yeah. Affinity is no joke now, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, if I wasn't a lazy old man, I would, I would take the time out to dig in there myself and get back to the level of skill, if you like, at Photoshop, but yeah, it's certainly not just some cheap app, no doubt. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What says Luminar AI, same as Adobe's rural system. I think you can use it or not. Okay. Yeah, so you choose to use it. The whole AI thing takes the creativity out of it. It's interesting, Paul. Yeah, we're in a weird spot right now. We are in a very, we're in a tough spot with the AI situation, and I was a good friend of mine works fairly high up in a very large company, and he's specialized in AI for a very long time, and he was kind of joking but not joking the other day when I was chatting to him, and he was like, look, we all thought that art and creativity was safe from AI, right? We all thought that, computers will never we'll never be able to recreate art, and computers and AI will never be able to, do our jobs as creatives, and he said, like, the irony is that that's really the first thing that AI just has seemingly knocked over, right? And that's purely because of the amount of data that it's had access to in the last 6, 12, 18 months. Just huge amounts of data. Like, to give you some idea, there was, and I won't mention any names here of brands or anything like that, but there was a very popular AI app a few months back, and they were purchasing GPU off of a company, and to begin with, you know, because like this AI needs to spit out, like you give it data, right, and then you're expecting images back, right? So these apps have to process all this, right? And this is the biggest bottleneck that we have with it at the moment. And he was saying that, you know, originally, like these guys were billing like $3,000 a day to rent GPU, right? And then it went up to like 80 grand a day, and then it went up to, you know, like 100,000 a day to rent GPU to actually process AI imagery for the masses. Right? This is how much it kind of exploded, and then it went up to 1.2 million a day to rent GPU to process AI images, and they said that they billed 12 million in 10 days. Right, AI at the moment is just off the scale because humans just can't get enough of it. I know us here as creatives are like, oh, fucking AI shit, and I agree with you. But the masses are just feeding it, right? Like the Instagram, you know, crawlers, they're just feeding it with tons and tons of data. You know, and that's the sort of money that is being moved around just to rent GPU and stuff, which is just mind-blowing amounts of memory being used on AI at the moment. So yeah, it ain't going around anytime soon. And have you guys checked in on Midjourney recently? I know we spoke about it a lot. What was it, 6 months ago, 7 or 8 months ago? You know, when it was exploding back then, and faces were terrible, right? Faces were pretty ropey. Have you checked in on Midjourney these days? Like, faces are nuts. Yeah, absolutely crazy. Yeah. Can we even look at it without logging in? I think so, right? No, they can't. Yeah, okay. Go to gallery. Will it let me? I think you need to be logged in to see it. Yeah. And I don't have my details on this browser. But yeah, have you guys checked out Midjourney recently? Like the quality of the faces on Midjourney now. When was this posted? When was this written? This is months ago. Yeah, somebody sent me an image. I think it was like a couple of days ago on Discord or like actually the PlayStation messages. But it's like, have you seen how good the quality of Midjourney is now on faces? Like, it was genuinely photorealistic, no question. The only thing it struggles with is hands for some reason. Now that's its next biggest stumbling block. And I mean, it is like night and day compared to what it was 6, 7, or 8 months ago. Ironically, I feel like it's lost some of its personality. I kind of liked the way that it had an sort of a personalized Midjourney sort of look to the images. You know, and now that's kind of been lost. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not looking at that. I'm just going to get sucked in. Yeah. So, I really like the idea of Affinity to be able to do same with an iPad or a PC, but I think they have to do better with cloud storage solutions. Really, Fernando. So you use cloud storage. Now, Adobe for me is, or every time I save an image, or every third time you save an image, it's like, make sure you save this image to the cloud. Be really wary of having stuff in the cloud. You know, and obviously use it if it's, you know, absolutely use it if you want to use it, of course. I don't keep my images in the cloud. Remember that Adobe now accesses or can access by default, I think, your images for AI now. So they'll use that as a base, right? So if, you know, somebody's typing in their AI phrase of dog jumping over paddling pool, whatever, right, then it's like the Adobe bot will look at the images in their cloud and use that as reference points. So just be mindful of that. The other thing is, as well, is always make sure you have a backup of your images, you know, physically, as much as possible, physically, you know, on your on your person, as it were, rather than just having them in the cloud, because otherwise you're totally beholden to them and their finances then. Easy for skin retouching and doesn't require you to be a brain surgeon to use. It's literally 5 or 6 minutes to clean your face. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Yeah, if you just want to get in there and do some simple stuff, then yeah. How can I forget? Greater than Gatsby Photoshop sets, use it loads for skin retouching. Okay, nice. I've had a lot of goth alternative models who are desperately trying to find these dresses and shoes that have been AI generated and posted on Facebook lately. Those images are so freaking real. Yeah. I mean, I guess that opens up opportunities for designers to go away and make those things, right? So like there is kind of a circle there. That it is possible for it to come up with things that could be generated by an actual designer. Pretty nuts. Okay, right. So what did we get to? What are we doing here? Let's have a look. No, this one. So let's have a play with some of these images. Go in there and have a tweak. Let's just give this one last refresh before we start digging through these. Oh, okay, Darius, look, coming in late again. You better sit at the back of the class, Darius. You're coming in late. Okay. So Darius is inspired by your JHP Instagram ratio 4:5. Yeah. No, I mean, I think it works in the 4:5. And yeah, on that note, I just, those of you that have seen any of my work on Instagram, I think I post there 3 times a year now. But yeah, any images on there, you see that I still keep the full aspect ratio and just add borders to the side of it. If people aren't happy with that, then that's on them. But yeah, I understand why people are going to the 4:5. I mean, it was popular 50 years ago, so I guess why not? That aspect ratio could come around again, right? But this is a cool shot, mate. Yeah, this is nice, really nice. I guess I'm guessing you had a little bit of trouble with spill on the background here, because we have like this kind of nicer orange here, and then we have this very mottled, blotchy background here, which I'm guessing is the blue fill light falling onto that background and sort of ruining this orange effect back here. So you're kind of limited by space, right? In an ideal world, you'd move everything further away from that background to avoid that spill, but for the most part, fix it in post, right? Okay. As I said, the problem now is the camera have 2:3, but for social you need 4:5 or something similar. Yeah, or you just change it afterwards. I just use an app to change, just to add borders and stuff if you want it. So I think if you're gonna do it, I think you can change your camera to on many cameras now. You can actually change the masking and stuff. So obviously it'll be the full image in the RAW, but on the screen you can change the masking. So you can see when you're actually physically looking at the image, the back of the camera, it'll be masked to the 4:5. You'll still have the full image, but so that's always an option as well. No worries, Steve, no worries. Yeah, so just watching that spin on the background. So Nigel says another street shoot from last year's escape to Japan, similar to last time, with either a red or orange gelled strobe mounted close to the lens and manual white balance to throw everything else towards greens and yellows for contrast. Okay. And this is cool, Nigel. Yeah, it's great to see you playing with new sort of different ideas like this, because I think when you start messing around with abstract color, which it is, right? This is what I refer to as abstract color. You are definitely creating something new, and often you'll find that something else comes out of this. You'll see something that that works well. You know, when I was playing around with random colors on the skin, you know, like you'll find certain colors that when you reach a certain exposure, they'll almost blend into the skin, and then as it drops off to shadow, that some of that color will start to come out as well. So playing around with this abstract color, you know, can definitely generate some really interesting results. And you know, look, you know, a shot like this for me, you know, it's not correct, but it's far more visually engaging when you're looking at images than if you just whacked a speed light straight on the top of camera and just fired it straight at the subject, right? I mean, yeah, I think you got to do something. You got to do something now. I mean, if you're going to do that, hell, you're just one step away from turning it black and white. You know, who would do that? So this is really cool, man. Yeah, and I love, you know, seeing you play with this, and this kind of yellow green. I'm guessing. What's that movie? The Japanese, was it Japanese? Was it? I forget his name now. I forget his name. I'm gonna have to look it up. My brain's just gone dead. Let's have a look, because this is very reminiscent of. I'll just show you. You're just gonna have to wait for me to find it. Okay, you're just gonna have to wait. I can't remember his bloody name. Actually, got Fincher, Deakins, Christopher Doyle. Okay. So the this guy, when he does a lot with this yellow and green, and then mixed in there with those deep reds, right? So this is my PDF from my cinematic lighting workshop, where I'm just talking about directors and you know, their sort of lighting styles. But yeah, I absolutely love what he does with the greens and yellows and you know, the reds and stuff here. More of a westernized version of that was, I think, Tony Scott when he did Domino. You start to get some real cool effects that he did with in there, and what he was doing, I think he was cross-processing E6, I think, and like overcooking the image, and you got some incredible tones. Like if you guys haven't seen that, I know I've recommended it a million years ago, but yeah, Domino by Tony Scott. Yeah, really cool colors in that. Hong Kong, yeah. Sorry, Nigel. Yeah. Coral particle shop is worth a look for effects. Okay, again, yeah. I mean, is that the same coral from years ago? Probably. That's not the old one, is it? God, they're still going, aren't they? Coral, whatever it is. Snoop says this was taken in my studio just using a single beauty dish light with an optical snoot gobo light on the background, and then processed in Capture One and Photoshop. Happy to hear feedback, check. Okay, so let's run this again. This was taken in the studio using a single beauty dish light, so lighting her, right? So that's what we're saying here. So the beauty dish is on her, and then we got a gobo back here on the wall, and then I'm guessing there is a red gel in here somewhere, or not. Is that like a red wall, and we've just really punched all this in? Have you just lifted like the shadows in Photoshop in some way? But I get the feeling that there may be a red gel in here somewhere. I recognize the model table. Yeah. Who's the model? I don't recognize that. Yeah. So Steve says this is actually colored down in Photoshop. So there's no red gel in this. So this wall is white. Is that what you're saying, Steve? Is that right? And then we've just adjusted the colors in post. Okay. So for me, what's going on here is we have like this feels like to be the hotspot here of that beauty dish, and then that light is kind of fading out from there. Yeah. So trying to think of maybe where that beauty dish is. Like we can see that we've got shadow here. We can kind of see we have a shadow line here. So I think what we could do is we could afford to maybe have that beauty dish, maybe even a further round to the right here. Okay. Further around to the right, and then to get more shape on our subject from this side, because at the moment, like, the lighting on her face is kind of back to front a little bit, so we kind of want more shape on her face here. Now that's very pose dependent for sure, so we got to think about where the pose is going to be in relation to the light, so we can always get that synergy of lighting and pose. And look, I get it. You know, it can be, oh, that's cool. That's a cool pose. Ooh, and then you just grab a shot. It wasn't what I originally went for, but I want to grab a shot. I totally get that, and I've definitely been there. But I think maybe it's something like, oh, I love that. Do you mind if I just take two seconds to move the light, bring that light round, get more of a sculpted light on her face, and more shape on the body. But yeah, otherwise, I think it's cool. I mean, and I think considering you've color toned this in Photoshop, I think that's looking pretty legit. Because I really did think, looking at this, I was like, is that a red gel in here somewhere? So I think you've done a really good job of pulling that grade off for sure. Yeah, nicely done. As we got Dave's shine here, my first studio session 2023 Neo 3's used. This was a setup shot. This was a setup shot? What do you mean a setup shot? As in, so like you weren't shooting properly, you were just in the process of setting it up, or somebody else set up the shot for you? So I think this is interesting. It looks like we've got a light coming from back here, coming in. We can see that just catching on the cheekbone and the nose there, and then it looks like we have a light coming over on this side as well, and that's what's casting this shadow underneath the jawline there. Okay. So this is one of those things where, again, the pose is going to make a big difference as well. And I think this is a popular setup by design, to have a light back there, a light just out of shot here, and then coming in and then catching the hair and that sort of thing, and catching the body. I'm always really mindful of where that pose is going to be. I think had she looked to her left and down, I think we could have had a nice highlight coming across the face. As it is at the moment, just watch when this light sort of catches the edge, so like the edge and then the nose, because now we have this kind of highlight and the kind of weird sort of highlights halfway across the face, as it were. Just a minor thing, just bringing that light either above and out of shot. So if you're like, oh Jake, I can't bring it any closer because this is the edge of the frame here, I can't bring it here because it'll be in shot. Fair enough. So maybe it's a case of bringing it like maybe a little bit above out of shot or something like that, just to try and keep that light just on the edge there. What are you using as a modifier on the left here, Dave? Are you using it in a softbox? Because it definitely looks like the light is softer on this side compared to this light coming over. And the Neos are fairly hard light sources, right? Because they're pretty small. So are you softening that? Are you putting it in a softbox? Are you putting it through diffusion or something like that? Yeah, I'd be interested to see. Hey, no worries, Steve. Yeah, all good. Testing the lights for position, different Kelvin set up on it each light. Gotcha. Okay, so you just playing around at the start, and then this was like a test shot. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it'd be interesting to know what modifiers you got on these, if they're the same or if they're different ones. Yeah. I know, Darius. Yeah, the shots in here are always brilliant. Yeah, really high level. I mean, I actually just delete the shit ones, but yeah, I mean, so it looks like everybody's amazing, but I'm joking, guys. Come on, as if I would do that. As if I would tell you. Right, let's have a look. Dave says, just had it with the clip-on diffusers. Yeah, okay, interesting. Yeah, you definitely see a big difference, Dave. Yeah, so that's just the clip-on diffuser, just slightly different colouring. We were getting to the end of the shoot, so rushing to get the last shots. Yeah. Been there. Yeah, the clip-on diffuser. Oh, is it so? Oh, the dome, right? That's what you mean, like the dome. I don't know where mine is. But yeah, the actual dome that clips on the front. Gotcha. Yeah. You can definitely see it makes a big difference. Yeah. Definitely way softer compared to this one. Yeah. Okay. Who's up next? Ryan. Oh, nice. Okay, no gels for me this week. I wanted the feather shawl to stand out with its beautiful colours. I've got 5 lights here, 1 backdrop light in a reflector with grid, 2 rim lights in umbrellas, main light in beauty dish above, and a fill light in an umbrella below. Right, we're going to have to run that back for my tiny brain. Okay, so we got this feather shawl here. We got no gels. So we've got these feathers, I wanted them to stand out with beautiful colours. I've got 5 lights, 1 on the backdrop. Okay, so boom, so we've got 1 back there. In a reflector with a grid, yeah. 2 rim lights in umbrellas. So we're talking about rim lights like over here sort of thing, right? So we've got 2 rim lights in umbrellas, main light in a beauty dish above, boom, yeah, we've got beauty dish up here. We've got background light back there, and a fill light with an umbrella below. We've got fill light down below. Okay, cool. Okay, that makes sense. So, yeah, 2 edge, key in the middle here, and then one fill. Okay, nice. I mean, this is looking great. I mean, you've got this beautiful shape and tone on the model here, right? Which is really nice. Look at the tonality that we have on the figure here, which is great. Beautiful tone. Nice lighting on the face, nice clean lighting on the face. And I'm just looking at these edge lights. I'm trying to work out what's kind of going on and where they may be positioned. So you say you've got them in umbrellas, and like my knee-jerk reaction here is that they may be a little bit lower, like down here, because we have this highlight here, and then it kind of drifts off. We don't really see that highlight from that edge light. We see the edge light down here as well, but not seeing too much. A tiny bit on the arm here as well. Okay, so I'm kind of thinking what may be something to try next time is to raise those umbrellas up a lot higher on the edges, right? So bring them kind of way up there, like way up there, a little bit out of shot, so that we can try and get some of this bead traveling around here. Okay, and if done correctly, you should be able to get them almost just to meet here in the middle at the top. You know, almost. You still have that shape there, and you just have that shape going all the way around. So actually bringing up these umbrellas to the side, up high, so we have that light coming down as well as on the sides. What size umbrellas are you using? If you're still here, Ryan, I'm sure you are. But yeah. I'm trying to think. Do we? Okay, this is. I wondered if this was open from a previous session that I did. I want you to have a look at this setup here. Okay, and this is something that I struggled with many years ago, right? And what happens is we want to get like the color. You mentioned it in the description here. You want the feather shawl to stand out, right? So you want that nice sort of contrasty light, so that these feathers pop. And we have this beautiful color here. Sadly, what also happens is that because we're using that beauty dish and that sort of thing, we're coming in fairly close. We get this very contrasty light, and we lose some of the data here. So one thing that you might want to try, and this is what I used to do when I did a lot of hair shoots back in the day, was that you wanted the contrast of like a harder light source to get some of the some of the shine and texture in the hair and the fashion and that sort of thing. So you used a hard light, but then you ended up with this very contrasty, deep jet black shadows, right? So ordinarily, and I'm not saying this is what yours looks like, but if you just have the one hard light on, we have this very strong, deep, dark shadows here, a very controlled pool of light, useful for not letting the light get on the background and that sort of thing, but we can end up with very, very dark areas, as you can see there, right? Now a softbox, if you just have a softbox, is going to be quite flat, and like the softbox alone is going to give you this very boring light here, right? So you see the head looks kind of flat, and like the texture in the clothing is kind of flat. So what we used to do is combine both, right? So here I've stacked a soft light behind the hard light, and this is a really sort of clever technique, which again, it blows my mind that more people don't do this, but it's a really clever technique because you're not duplicating shadows in any way. It's not messy because the lights are stacked one in front of the other, yeah, so they're stacked directly in front of one another, so they're basically casting the same amount of shadows, and in fact this softbox is actually filling in some of those shadows. So it's a nice little technique to try because it will give you the contrast and definition in like these feathers and that sort of thing, but it'll actually fill in just a little bit of those heavy shadows as well. So definitely a really cool technique to have a play with if you haven't done already. I'll pop that in the chat. Yeah, Ryan, give it just something to try, just watch where those highlights are lying and see if they're coming up. And having some of that light coming down. So they're 40-inch. So what's 40-inch? That's massive. The hell's 40-inch to? What is? What is it? Okay, so 110. Okay, so that's not bad. Yeah, so I would say, just as a reference point for you, if you're interested, I would say that my edge lights, my edge umbrellas that I use, or the umbrellas that I use on my edge lights, are around about 110, 120 centimeters. Just to give you an idea. I'm not saying like you need to get. I'm just giving you an idea. That's where mine are. Yeah, give it a go. It's actually really cool. Yeah, it's really cool. Read the article and go through how to set it up and that sort of thing and what you're looking for. But yeah, it's actually really effective and super simple to do. Image from Paul here. Nice man. A few words tonight, Paul. That's. I hope we didn't post this late. Quickly, I got to post something. But yeah, this is cool, man. This is really cool. Beautiful colors. Was this a hair shoot? And the hair looks immaculate. Or did you spend ages retouching it? Because this is difficult to get clear in camera, as it were. Yeah. Excuse me. But this is really cool. Yeah, I like this a lot. Interesting pose and that sort of thing. More of an engaging pose rather than just being flat on. We got this nice purple coming in from above, and sort of greeny blue on this side. No, that's her hair. No retouching on it. Jesus, fair play to her. She can come again, right? Like if your hair's going to look that good in camera, yeah, thanks very much. I was like, so you haven't added this shape here? Is that what you're telling me, Paul? Like this, because this looks like it's been done. That's nuts. That's crazy. Crazy. Yeah. I should maybe just watch the. Can we zoom in on that? No, I don't think we can. I think we can go into Photoshop and do it. Just watch the retouching on the eye there. I just feel like we've gone just a touch too far on the lightening of that eye. It now looks like a glass eye or something. Literally couldn't think what the dodge and burn tool was then. we can bring that. Can we knock that back? Here's something to try as well. If you're doing some retouching and you're not sure, yeah, so sorry, if you're doing, sorry, I was just looking at that. If you're doing retouching and you're getting a bit swept up along, and, oh yeah, wonder how it's going, that sort of stuff, and you're just doing it. 20 minutes later, boom, you got to the end. Oh, yeah, that's okay. Always have a look at where you've come from as well. And a trick that I used to do when I was a kid, when I used to do a lot of drawing and painting, is to look at my image in the mirror, because you're working on your image, doing your drawing, and you're like, oh, this is looking awesome. This is award winning, and then you take your drawing and you look at it in the mirror and you're just like, oh my god, where did I go wrong? Because your eyes will then look at something fresh, right? Your eyes are looking at that image completely fresh, okay, and you can immediately see some of the areas that maybe need adjusting instantly, right? So like just flipping it around like that, maybe you see it for the first time, can be a nice sort of trick to looking at the image with fresh eyes. But great image though, man. Yeah, really good, super clean lighting. Like it a lot. We got a lot of data in the background and stuff here. And I know you're working in a small studio as well, so you got like what, 2 or 3? You got 3 lights here. So I know you got a lot going on there, so that's, it's really cool, really cool. The problem is I just roll out 7 minutes an image log. Gotcha. Yeah, sometimes I don't spend enough time to make sure they're correct. Yeah, I mean that's also a totally fair argument, Paul. If you're just trying to crank through 50 images, something like that, I've definitely been there. You just doing your thing, boom boom boom, brighten the eyes, boom, job done. So yeah, I totally get that. So Mikhail says, today I won't be submitting a female model. Instead, one of my DJ friends who asked me for some promotional shots, this again was using my custom frame made of car underglow RGB LEDs. Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was cool, man. Yeah. Set to blue, background and key light and gels for special effects, and we added a laser light. Feedback appreciated. Okay, so this laser light then that you've got here. So if you're still in chat, yeah, this is like fairly long exposure, right? Are you painting this like half a second or something like that, or because this is original, just play with the colors in Lightroom. Yeah. So you must be painting that with the laser pointer, right? Yeah, that's cool though. That's cool. I think it's a really nice effect, especially when your client is something like a DJ. Yeah, so it's not like this is the owner of a flower shop or a bakery, right? We can get away with doing something a little bit crazy like this, and it's great to see you pursuing the underglow frame thing that you've got from your car LEDs, which I think is hilarious. If you missed it, like the previous stream, Mikhail had like a frame for his underglow, and he's got it around. He's just got the subject standing in the middle of this frame, right? So he's got the frame out of shot here, and this is what's giving this blue, right, around the outside. Yeah. So yeah, very, very cool. As of April 1st, I moved to 600. Oh, do you, Paul? Congrats, man. That's awesome. Yeah. Is that, you moving to a different home and that's got a studio in there, or are you actually going to have a bespoke studio? That'd be awesome, man. That's nuts. Yeah, congrats. Yeah. Mikhail says I was strobing and came out different in every shot. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which it will do. And that's part of the love and hate relationship that I have with long exposure. It's different every time. That can be a good thing or a bad thing. Yeah, right. So yeah. We've got tape shot here. So 3 lights set up, 2 purposely left in shot, 1 removed in post. Happy to have feedback. Okay, so 3 lights set up, 2 purposefully left in shot, 1 removed in post. Okay, so why were these left in shot on purpose? Sorry. Are we back to are we back to that style now? BTS slashed like leaving kit in shot. A genuine question, if that was what it was, or we just wanted to show where the lights were for us. Look, I think this is really well lit. I do think it's really well lit. I think the lighting on her is like super clean. I do think that because we've got this clean lighting on here, I do think it would pay off to come in and get rid of that. Like I said, maybe you're going to put in there that it's a stylistic choice to leave the lights in shot, and that's fine. Just be wary of ones like this. That, I mean, you've said that there's a light in shot, so we kind of know what that is, but it just looks like there's a weird corner missing here. So if there's like stuff in shot, and you can certainly put stuff in shot that's maybe not even doing anything if you wanted to have stuff in there, right? So Dave says, just like the look for the PTS and fair enough. Yeah, I also do lighting basic workshop, so I like have a couple of with light placement. Gotcha. That makes total sense. Yeah, if you're using them to actually show where the images are for people, and also you're right, Insta loves BTS like this. Yeah, that's totally fine. But yeah, I would say just have something where we're in tighter on this, because like, we have this, we got some cool shapes going on here, which I think would be cool to take advantage of. We have this, she's got this great pose of this diagonal going through the shot. We've got this beautiful shape, and I think having us focusing in on that, it works really well with the circle here, as well. This geometry that we have is nice, works well. Yeah, and I'm sure you've got closer in shots as well. Getting down to the last few here, and then we'll jump into Photoshop and have a quick little play around. Jesus, Anubis, what on earth this is incredible, by the way, man. This is absolutely insane. Beautiful image. Gorgeous shot. And this is the hellscape that you've created lighting wise. This is awesome. Thanks for sharing this. This is beautiful. Fair play. So when I saw this originally, because you posted this a few hours ago, right? And now I haven't seen this BTS until you just posted it now. I genuinely thought that was a location shot. I just felt like you were in a restaurant somewhere, something like that. But that's really cool. Really cool. I love that. Gorgeous colors in that image. And Nigel was playing around with these yellows and greens as well. So you've just got that extra blue in there as well, which is really nice. I love the way that we've kind of burnt off a lot of the color here just on the face. Beautiful shot, man. Yeah, really excellent work. And thank you so much for sharing the details here. Okay. What lights are these then? I don't think you're in chat actually, but maybe if you rewatch the VOD of this, you want to post it in the comments. I'd be interested to know what lights these are. But yeah, really effective. So this light here, I wonder if that's on as well. Doesn't say that it's on. So we've got a blue strip back there. We've got warm LED there. That's brilliant. So it's not mentioned here either. So you're trying to tell me that the only actual light in this setup is not even being used. I love it. That's hilarious. Awesome, man. Awesome work. Really cool. Oh, you are here. Also, Dave says, yeah, that was the light you took out in the background. I thought that's what it was, Dave. Yeah. So you just got these off AliExpress. Nice. My wife loves AliExpress, man. Note the lamp on table is on. Yeah, I was thinking like one actual light here is not even on. Yeah. There is a very small lamp next to her left hand side of a small cube. So yellow mini LED here. So that's a Loom cube, right? Or an AliExpress knockoff of the Loom cube. So we got this little lamp here. So where's that yellow coming from? Is that what's creating that? What's creating that flare in the left? Oh, you're holding a little prism there. Hey, clever. This is awesome. Yeah, beautiful. Incredible work. And look, you know, and I've been saying this for months, but your work is yeah, you're just knocking it out of the park these days, mate. Yeah, absolutely incredible style that you've got going on. Gorgeous shots in it, you know, in every single shoot that you do. And like I say, I think you've definitely got this style there now that is coming out, whether it just be the color or the sorts of poses that you're doing or the angles that you're shooting. I think it's definitely all coming together. Yeah, looking really, really cool. Yeah, prism, and yeah, so the Loom cube is just a knockoff Loom cube. Yeah, got a collaboration with Nanlite after this shoot. I am not surprised, mate. Yeah, I'm not surprised. That's awesome. Yeah, well deserved indeed. Yeah. No pressure though, but I mean, your images better be so much better now, because you were using $100 worth of lighting here, and you're about to use $10,000 worth of lighting. It better be 10 times as good. That image, no pressure. Yeah, awesome work, man. Absolute pleasure seeing your work. Gorgeous colors as well. Yeah, excellent job. So Vlad says, is it $400 for the whole kit? Love it, mate. Love it. That's hilarious. That's brilliant. Yeah. And like in your front room or something like that, like your kitchen or somebody's kitchen. You're not renting out a studio. You just got somebody round. Yeah. Oh, so Dave says AliExpress, how much was the setup? So like you said, yeah, $400 there, which is nuts. Yeah, absolutely love it. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? You know, it's photography has never been easier with LEDs now, like the cost of them, and by the looks of it, sorry Vlad, we'll come back to your image there in a second, I promise. But look at it, you've got gels on these, so these aren't RGB LEDs, but you've just bought some gels and you're doing it with gels, which is cheaper to buy the white panels for sure, but yeah, I mean, to think that you can produce that, be super creative, in your front room with a few $100 worth of kit, it's nuts. Yeah, I mean, it's just wasn't possible before. Yeah, in your kitchen, nice, love it. Sometimes it's the best way to learn, Anubhav, and I apologize if I'm butchering your name, but yeah, so sometimes it is the best way to learn is to have these limitations. I know I learned so much about gelled lighting when I was learning to shoot in my front room, and it's tiny space, and you got to control the light, 4 or 5 lights in a small space. You've got to have complete control of the lighting, so it teaches you to be very, very good very, very quickly, as opposed to being in a big studio with all this kit. Sometimes can be a detriment when you're learning. So Vlad says, I just had to try this kind of double exposure, low effort shot. Can't say I don't like the results, but I find it somewhat gimmicky. I'm curious if there are any trends that you guys would like to try. I also want to try and mix projector with smoke haze. Yeah, I think you got to. I think you just got to go for it, right? And play with these, like you say, gimmicky things. And maybe it's gimmicky, but I think this looks cool. At no point when this came up did I think as a bit gimmicky. I'm not getting that vibe from this at all. So I think you've definitely done something creative and engaging with it. And I think when you play around with gimmicks, as you say, you can kind of take it in a different direction. And I feel like you've done it a little bit here. Like you're doing your own thing with it. I think it works. And to your question, if there are any other trends you guys are trying, trends is something you want to be mindful of. I think we've seen Nigel in here playing with like abstract color on the flash of the camera and that sort of stuff, and working outside, on the street, playing with that, to get different interesting results. So I think stuff like that is, I think that's a great example of playing with something that is, basic at its core. Somebody outside in a street with a light, but now I want to play with abstract color and sort of push what I can get something out of it. And I know you're kind of playing a lot with abstract color as well in your cinematics, although most of it is sort of more grounded in the earthen tones of blues and oranges, but still, definitely works. Projector as well. I've seen some very gimmicky projector shots, but I think that sometimes people will do something gimmicky to kind of show off that they're doing it. Like Anubis shot a minute ago, like he's using a prism like that. That can look super gimmicky. Yeah, I see people take horrendous prism shots, but his shot does not scream, "Hey, I'm using a prism." I personally think that my shots don't scream, "Hey, I'm using a projector," right? That's not the first thing you think when you look at some of my shots. So I think you can do things in a way. Just be mindful that you're not trying to show off that you're doing that thing, or I want to show off that I'm using a projector. I want to show off that I'm using a prism. No, I think you want to be focused on the result rather than the actual technique itself, as it were. Love this though. Love this. And so David Webb forced me to shoot me in my own apartment. This is the first time in 8 years I used my own place. You know David, do you? Because David's normally in here, but I don't know. He's could have fallen asleep or whatever it is. But he says he's busy. But I guess we'll never know. But yeah, David's normally in. David's been on the page for for years, and I spoke at length to David in the past via one-to-ones and that sort of stuff, and his work again is somebody else's work who's just seen huge leaps, and yeah, he's doing a lot of work in his own space and using his own apartment, house, whatever it is, front room, outside windows, staircase. Like he's trying to be creative and do shoots in his own space, and it forces you to be creative and think about seeing things in different ways, right? It's like, well, I sit at the kitchen table every day to have breakfast. It never screams photo shoot arena. But I think once you get into that mindset, you start seeing other things as well. Like your brain starts to tune into, I'll come down here, see an angle, I've got some separation here, I can shoot through that plant, and then I can have a light coming in through the window behind. We've got 3 or 4 layers of separation now, boom, boom, boom. And then you start to go out into the outside world and other areas and that sort of thing, and you start to see these things. So I think you've got to train your mind to see it like you're doing here. So we've got one more shot here before we jump into Photoshop and have a quick play. So Original Cinematography says, just a couple of softboxes, little bit of retouching to remove the odd issue and color grading. Beautiful sort of Renaissance style image here. Gorgeous tones as well. Love this sort of, textured background. Like I said, gorgeous tones and stuff on the skin here. Really, really nice. Yeah. Beautiful light as well on the face, and I'm always a fan of timeless images, images that aren't really tied to any specific era as such. I mean, we've had a lot of those in this is timeless as well, right? This is kind of timeless, although again, like the wine and grapes and that sort of thing sort of harkens back to kind of a Renaissance painting, but these ones as well, timeless images I think do very, very well visually. And this is beautiful. It's actually kind of difficult to get some of this light on the hair and stuff that you've got here, but I think you've done a really good job of that. Like the shape and form on the hair is actually really nice with the highlights. So yeah, beautiful shot. He said a couple of softboxes, so I'm guessing we've got one quite fairly high up on the left here. We don't have a catch light in the eye, so I'm guessing it's fairly high, and then I presume we've got another on the right just to fill in some of these shadows on this side. So yeah, nice. Yeah, Models love gimmicks, break out the light painting gear as a shoot, and they go nuts for images they get. That's awesome, Dave. That's great. I mean, look, that's what it's all about, right? You know, if you can get the client, whoever, excited about the shoot, then that's win-win. But yeah, sometimes people can be very hesitant or skeptical of the gimmicks like light painting and that sort of thing. So what you're trying to tell me is you're going to turn all the lights off and then wave this light around it in my face in the pitch black. Yeah, no, I'm good, thanks. So that's great if you're having models that are excited about that. And I think long exposure is a great example of getting people excited, because they can't see the image and you show them a long exposure shot. And I remember when I was doing long exposure workshops, it was always the same. You know, you get oohs and ahs in workshops, but the long exposure workshop is where you got the most oohs and ahs, because you are literally capturing something that isn't there, that we cannot see with our eyes, and you are able to capture it. So when people look at the image, it's like, oh my god, that's nuts. So yeah, I think it's cool. Yeah. Doing things like that to get energy and enthusiasm from the subject is always a win, right? I walk into the kitchen, doesn't scream photo shoot, more like clear the dishes, mate. I hear you. Just get a noob to come around, mate. He'll make your kitchen look like that in no time. I realised real quick that I needed more space than my living room, but it gets tough. I have to manage 10 photographers in the studio to pay for the studio. I realised real quick that I needed more space than my living room. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I have to manage 10 photographers in the studio to pay for. So, what, you sharing the price of a studio, Dan? Is that right? Yeah. One of my favourite images was setting a church on fire by 100 model than optic fibre. Jesus, mate, you gotta be careful, that sort of thing. Right, let's have a look at some of these. Let's just grab this image here a second. Let's bring it into Photoshop, and let's duplicate that so we got a copy. And I'm just let me change this so we've got a. So you guys, yep, okay. Okay, so the start of the stream, if you're just joining us and just joined us recently, we're going to be looking at some ways to kind of introduce something different or interesting with our shots. And one of the things that I was playing with was like Boris FX and Dehancer. So these are plugins that we can just open up, and let's have a look. Open up via the filter menu. And I'll just show you a couple of things that it has available. And this is the Boris FX optics. Okay, so just to be clear, this is not the all singing, all dancing main one that Boris FX does for video. There's loads of different ones, but this one is supposedly designed for still images, right? So that's the one I downloaded and just had a play with. So you open up your shot. Fairly normal, right? You got your current thing up here, and then we've got our different things down here. So we got color, diffusion, blurs, film lab, grads. You know, you get the deal, right? All the way down here to like some of these crazier things. It's just going to take ages to process. Okay, so like the renders and that sort of thing. So. So down here, this is like the color. So we've got auto adjust. So immediately it's gone in there and it's tried to correct that. Okay, fine. So color correct, and these are some of the presets that we have in here. And I was, like these are going to be very hit and miss, right? We got Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2 apparently. So yeah, I think we can agree they're going to be very hit and miss. I don't know what type of images these would work on, but yeah. So fine, okay. So here we got some diffusions and blurs and that sort of thing, and then here, you know, it's just going to be doing stuff to the skin in terms of some coloring. Buffy demon. Do you know what I mean? Like some of them are a little bit, I don't know, a little bit kitsch really for me. It just feels a little bit kind of dated for me. And look, if you're using this and you're making it work, then that's cool. I'm probably assuming that people who are using this are using it for the crazy effects that it can do, rather than some of this, some of these kind of, you know, almost corny effects here that you can get. You know, in like Instagram filters and that sort of thing. So here we've got aged and faded, and this is actually one of the better ones. Actually, it's aged and faded, so it's supposed to make it look terrible, but I actually think it actually looks pretty cool. And again, this has got skin smoothing built in, and I say built in, but it's got skin smoothing in there, and different variations of it. And we've got tons of crazy things in here as well. Yeah, blurring and that sort of thing. I mean, everything that I've showed you so far you can already do in Photoshop, like the base version of Photoshop, right? You know, blurring the skin, all that sort of stuff, skin smoothing, fairly standard stuff that we can all do. Coloring and all this, all of that is all possible in Photoshop. You know, this blurring and depth of field and that sort of stuff. We've got lens blur, filter gallery in Photoshop. Again, all that sort of stuff is already there. So this is, you know, you got some bits here. So this is a free lens, so you can make adjustments here that is going to tilt and shift and do all sorts of crazy stuff to the image here. So, you know, so this is got all your little nodules and dials and stuff to twist and turn here. So some of these filters are fairly in depth, right? Because we're in diffusion blurs, then we're in free lens, and then in free lens we come in and you know, like we have even more, right? Even more versions or presets for them. A lot in there. So we got mist and stuff. Apologize if you can hear my phone buzzing. You got Film Lab, so we got our, you know, we got our grains from films. Yeah. So that's kind of interesting. Some of this stuff is just grads and tints, so super basic stuff that is very easy to do in Photoshop. And again, denoise and that sort of thing. Like this is kind of things that we can already do in Photoshop. Lens distort. I was interested in. I was wondering what sort of lens distortions you could kind of do, because that was really what I was after. I was really looking to try and almost defocus my image. Remember that image I showed you at the start with like the projector and pixels and that sort of stuff? I was kind of looking for a way to kind of almost defocus in a believable way without, you know, 'cause I didn't want to sharpen those details. So this has got some stuff in here with the chromatic aberrations, and you can start to see there now. You're getting a little bit of chromatic aberration. So you got some bits there, and you know, again, I think for certain filters, Boris FX is going to enable you to take it a couple of steps deeper in terms of fine tuning, right? Photoshop's filters, you're going to have 3-4 sliders and that sort of thing, and you know, whereas this, you know, you can really get into the minutia of anamorphic, you know, shifts and stuff here as well, right? Which again, so it's taking some of the lens correction filters in Photoshop and giving you even more options. Yeah. And then, you know, back to the regular stuff. What even so weird? Like some of these are bizarre. So some of these as well, we've got lighting. So essentially what this is doing is just masking in areas of highlight, if you like. Yeah, so it's an eye light, so you know you can just, I mean, you can see what that is. It's just a box. Again, simplistic from Photoshop. Flag. You know, so some of these I again feel a little bit kitsch, a little bit dated. Now down here is really what Boris FX is probably known for, right? Is some of these particles and that sort of thing. So we have some of these that we can use, even renderings like lightning, that sort of thing. So we can go, so we can build on it like this. So, you know, these renderings and that sort of thing. If you're doing, like, if you're doing composites, right, and you're doing, I don't know, cosplay shoots or that sort of stuff, having some of these things in here could be really cool, right? So here we've got like an animation, and then you just choose where you want this animation to start and end in the final shot, bolt noise, that sort of thing, right? And then we've got, you know, tons of stuff down here, right? So branch styles, branch widths, branch color, I mean, like, so many options. So you can really fine tune right? So we, you know, fine tune the sort of thing you want. So now we're bringing in another bolt, and we can do all the same adjustments and stuff on that. So I think if you were somebody who was doing composites and you know, cool stuff with CGI elements and bringing in fanciful things like that, I think there's a lot of scope here, you know, in terms of having something that looks legit, right? Because you can obviously adjust all of this. Yeah, I mean, I would never use this, but I could definitely see people who would. I think if you were just getting into this for like some weird filmic looks or aged skin or something like that, I would say this is probably not the piece of software to do it. I think if you were looking for these down here where we have these rendered elements, I think there's tons and tons of scope. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, again, kind of niche, right? Okay. Let's check I didn't miss anything. I built the studio, but commercial space ain't cheap. Oh, fair play, Dan. Okay. Nice. For what it's worth, I've never taken a paid photography job, as I'm afraid of the need to produce the result I'm proud of, so I use photographers renting the space to pay the bills. Fine, mate. Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, I mean, whatever works. I think as long as you're happy doing what you're doing, then that's fine. If you hate your day job, then yeah, maybe time to look at branching out, but I think you'll get there, and it'll probably happen naturally. Somebody will probably force you and go, yeah, I want this image, how much do you want for it? And you'll go, okay, people do actually love my work, and that's fine. Yeah. Then he says on one is also an option that does much of these. Which one is that, Danny? On one? Is that just another one? So it generates elements like CGI elements like that, does it? So Dan says, Boris has been legendary in the composite world. I don't personally own, but cool stuff there. So that's what I mean. I could definitely see it being viable with the composites. You know, you can really start to see so much flexibility and high resolution as well. Those CGI renders and stuff that it has, that you can really just tailor it. So many different tailored options for exactly the look you want. Yeah, I think if you're into that sort of thing, it makes loads of sense. Yeah, loads of sense. So how much was the Boris one? How much was the Boris, as in the optics one? Because when I showed you the $1,200, $1,300 a year, that was for the big boy. Okay. So I don't know whether. So can you buy it? Just buy it outright for $100, or does it only subscription? I mean, if you can, I don't know. If you could buy all of that, like what we just looked at in there, if you could buy that for $100, definitely worth it. Yeah, if you're doing cosplays and that sort of stuff where you're going to be using some of this CGI elements, I think it would be definitely worth it. You know, particles and that sort of thing. You want to add for composites, yeah, definitely. If you can only do a monthly subscription, then I guess you could just rent it for the month you wanted to play around. Okay, I've just got back from a cosplay event, something like that. I've got tons of images. I just rent this for a month and then cancel. Maybe that's an option, something like that, right? Could be cool. Yeah, I need to check whether you can just buy it outright or not. Right, let's have a look then at this De-hancing then. So those of you, enable me to go back. Yeah, so the De-hancing one, so this is this one here, right? So this is the one where it's going to give you the sort of filmic effects and just a one-off fee, $200 there, okay? And this is a plugin for Photoshop, Lightroom, so on and so forth. So we're in the trial version here. So the trial version is always going to have this watermark on it here, hence what we've got. And then, you know, really what this De-hancing does is seems to be focusing on the filmic looks, right? So all the old films, color films, you know, we've got the classic cine stills here and that sort of stuff, and which is cool. You've got these nice, you know, presets that you can just bang in here. But what's really interesting about this particular tool, which I thought was really impressive, was just how much fine tuning you're able to do within each preset. I mean, look at all this stuff, right? It's nuts. So you got your basic stuff, exposure, temperature, that sort of thing. Basic stuff there. You got your film compression, which is fine. We don't need to worry too much about that. As you know, depending on the export and that sort of thing. Black and white points. Prints, which is kind of useful for people who you need to genuinely output a different file for print compared to viewing it on Instagram, right? You need a very different look to the image compared to something on Instagram. So kind of had this has this nice option here for those as well. Got your color heads, so this will be your actual tones on top of everything else as well. Shadows and highlights, and then we kind of get down into more of the creative elements down here. So you got your film grain. You can really fine tune the film grain that you have. I'm just trying to see if I could zoom in on that. No, okay. I'm sure you can. I'm just Anyway, oh, there, 1:1. Oh, okay. Maybe it's because the original image is small anyway. Anyway, so you've got your film grain there, and you can really dial in the different types of film grain there, as well as, you know, positive, negative. And then I had a look at that. Seems a bit sus to me. Looks kind of weird. Digital noise. And then we come down to, these are kind of like the elements that some of the older lenses had in them. So the halation and blooms, okay, and vignetting. So these last three are from sort of older lenses. Yeah. So which is really interesting that we can kind of dial in some of these effects. Like if we got something that's, I was trying to think, like the cine still, it's probably going to have a bunch. So you can start to see a glow on some of the highlights there. Let's try a different image. Let's try a different image from here. I wonder if this one, maybe this has got some bright areas in there. Let's see what that looks like. Let's have a look. So De-hancing. Oof. Hey, that's looking good already, eh? Oof. Okay. All right. Look, I'm not gonna lie. It looks pretty cool. Yeah. Just to be clear, I am not sponsored to have any affiliation with these guys whatsoever. I was just playing around with it. I was just kind of curious. So I literally have nothing to do with these guys. I downloaded it yesterday. But that does look kind of tasty. It does look kind of tasty. Anuba, are you still here? That is nice. I won't lie. So we're looking at these highlights, and I'm just trying to see if I can get. Yeah, you see the bloom and stuff that we get in some of those highlights, which is what I really like from some of the older lenses. You're looking around the eyes and the cheek and stuff there. Same with the halation. Should be able to. Let's just turn the grain off a second so we can see what's going on. So again, I was looking at the eye here, and we just got some bloom in there, which is kind of nice. Nice, yeah. Other thing here as well, we got the, so on the left hand side you got the your favorites, all presets, De-hancing team, so you can import them, and featured presets, right? So this is the presets that yeah, there you go, that have been made by other people. So Oscar Follman here put together this cine still. So you know, you can go out there and get other presets and add to it, right? This is not an enclosed ecosystem. You can certainly add to it over time, as well as save them yourselves, save your own presets and that sort of thing. So really cool. But I was looking at this, and one thing that is kind of interesting here, so you know, I was looking at these and going, okay, you know, I like some of the elements that this has got. You know, can we learn something from this, and perhaps, you know, go away and add elements from this into your own images just using regular Photoshop and that sort of thing. One thing that caught my eye over here with the especially the halation and bloom is, you see over here we've got this mask mode. Now in here, I don't know whether we can, in some of these masks I could see what it was masking in and out. Not on this one for some reason. Yeah. So on previous ones, I could see. Oh, I've got this really bright light in my face. Yeah. So in some of these, you can actually see what it's doing in this mask mode. So essentially, all it's doing is it's going right. This is the highlights. It's selecting the highlights, and then it's adjusting the almost the glow on that highlight. And then for the halation, it's kind of cutting a hole out of the highlight and just leaving like the edge of it. And this comes from film, where film would have very, very bright colors that would bleed into other colors, and you could force this with cross processing, or you could over dev a film and get this color bleed. And again, it was a really interesting look. And again, Tony Scott, the director, sort of played a lot with that in, you know, big budget films, and to great success in my opinion. But and this kind of replicates that, and you can kind of see in some of these, like the mask modes, as to what's being highlighted. So I know you might be able to just see it there, but there's a mask where it's just looking at the areas that it's pulling out. So it's got the eye and like the bracelet and that sort of thing there. So it's again, we can see the white areas. So we've got this white there, and then the white of the eye, so it's making it pop. So yeah, you know, just really looking at some of these and trying to extract what we can learn from it and apply that in our own images is something that I wanted to kind of play with. And I'll show you what I kind of sort of played with earlier on, and see if it's of use to you. These are very heavy though, right? Some of these effects are very, very heavy. I mean, you would need to dial that grain way down, man. Yeah. But still, I can't argue with the colors in that and that final grade. Beautiful, beautiful. So yeah, something to play around with in the in the trial period, see if it resonates with you and that sort of thing, and have a look at some of the film presets in there, and also you know, get in there and dig around and see exactly what it's doing, you know. So I'm just going back to some of these comments here. So Dave says, use Boris a lot for the Batman themed cosplay shoot. Yeah, I can believe it'd be super useful for that. If they could just stop stepping on the sink wall and breaking the arch. I've had offers but can't price it as it takes me hours to create a piece. Yeah, well, I mean, so you're just not charging enough. Yeah, that's, you know, I get it. I'm sure you'll get there though, man. Yeah, in fact, I know you will. I know it seems odd, but Boris seems less PC intensive when I use it compared to Photoshop. So when you say that, Dave, you mean you're talking about the Boris standalone app, or compared to using it within Photoshop? Is that what you mean? So Steve says, similar to Dan, I take some paid jobs, but also rent out my studio space and run studio days as well. Yeah, makes sense. This is very cool and has many presets similar to these. You can add backgrounds. You're talking about on one, right? Spent well over 1,000 in effects and elements. $100 is nothing. Have you really, Dan? Wow. Yeah, that's nuts. Instantly has that movie poster look. Weird, right? And you're not wrong, but you know, it's kind of interesting as to what's inbuilt in us, maybe of, you know, our generation. You know, what is it about that gives it that look? You know, bit off topic, but are you going to do any more of the Rotolite YouTubes once we all have the new pros working in new presets together, etc.? I can't see. I mean, that's totally down to Rotolite. You know, I'm certainly going to look to present them with some ideas that we could run with the with the videos on YouTube. I'm hoping that they'll do some more workshops with me this year, because I thought that was pretty cool. And you know, again, going through, you know, some techniques with that, and really, you know, I think for me, and what I'm going to present to them is, look, you know, this is what we can do with these LED lights that perhaps I'm not seeing other people doing, you know. And this is no offense to people that do this, but just having somebody sat like a pretty girl sat in a pretty location and just whacking a neo set to white there, boom. You know, my mum can shoot that. It's not very creative, right? So I'm thinking, and I'm slowly, you know, showing them ways that we can do other things with them, right? Incorporate them into other setups. Whereas at the moment, I think they're very focused on just use the Rotolights. Whereas, you know, I'm kind of using the Rotolights alongside maybe a tube or maybe a flash and that sort of thing. You know, it's not, for me, it's not all or nothing. Maybe a projector, right? So I'm hoping that they will be up for doing something more creative with it in 2023. Yeah. So standalone Boris is less labor intensive. Okay, interesting. Yeah. I've only been in the industry for 3 years, never picked up a camera before then. Some mistakes were made, but some effects, especially in the motion video, cost money. Yeah, that's true. If you're trying to learn very quickly, then sometimes it can be, you know, buying one-to-one tuition or workshops or tutorials and that sort of thing can be a head start. Like, we've never been able to, like 20 years ago, you had to buy Vogue and like, oh, I think there's probably a light off to the left, right? That was it. Like, and you could buy a photographic book, but there was like 3 of them and they were all the same 6 lighting setups. So it's a completely different world now. Yeah, there's like, people, you know, you can learn so quickly now. This is exactly what you're saying in this comment, Dan. Yeah, like the thing you appreciate is the information is available to learn rapidly and how to deploy these effects. 10, 20 years ago, it would have been 20 times harder for somebody like me to enter the industry. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and when I say to people, oh, I've been shooting 20 years ago, oh my God, yeah, you've been shooting a long time. Yeah, but like the first 10 years, you were learning it all yourself, literally learning it all yourself. Yeah. Yeah, learning in one click. Yeah. Newcastle has some great locations for workshops. It does, Dave. It does. Yeah, as well as down south, as Steve is saying here as well. Yeah. Right. Let's just jump in real quick. We're getting a little bit long in the stream here. Let's just show you what I was kind of playing with earlier on. Let's get into Photoshop here and have a look at some things that I was kind of learning, something for you guys to play with. Maybe I'll do it, make it a Technique Tuesday at some point. And let's just open up one of these. It's got an eyeball, that'd be good. So really, my concern with this is we can start to see these pixels and stuff on the face, right? So my original point I was saying to you guys earlier on when we started the stream was I don't want to go down the route of sharpening these images, right? Because as soon as I start sharpening them, we're going to start to see these pixels, which is what I definitely don't want, right? Or even what unsharp mark? What's everybody using these days? Right, so as soon as we start to, like sharpen these images, we start to see the pixels, which is what we do not want. Okay, so I was trying to come up with a way to sort of either soften it, defocus, that sort of thing, and I didn't come up with anything concrete, but I'll sort of show you where I ended up. Okay. My original intention was to have this sort of older lens style, so defocus it not by just blurring it, but by defocusing it using a look from like an older style lens. And those older style lenses can have halation and blooms like we spoke about, but they also have aberrations as we get towards the edge of the lens. So, and these are called chromatic aberrations, and there's kind of like a color shift or like fringing and that sort of thing. Now you see far less of it in digital, but because most people either correct it or they have profiles that correct it. So it's kind of a weird one. I'm just going to duplicate the layer so we can see what we originally started with without anything adjusted. And so I'm going to come here to filter, and we come down here to lens correction. So historically, what this is for is for correcting your lens, right? So I'm going to be using this to actually do the opposite, right? So auto correction, boom. So in here, this is it sees the lens that it was shot on. It was shot on my 105mm f2. So this would apply the auto corrections and any chromatic aberrations if it had any. We're going to skip that and just come straight in here to custom and make these adjustments ourselves, because what I want to do is actually do the opposite. I want to break it. I want it to look worse, not better. So the chromatic aberrations is going to be a shift in the colors. So what I want to do is I want to shift these colors in opposite directions on here. And this may not be too noticeable to begin with, and because this is meant for just micro adjustments. So I actually ended up sort of multiplying the effect several times on top. So at the moment I'm just extending it, just giving it a little bit of warp so that we're going to get even more of a shift in the edges with these chromatic aberrations. So just going to okay that. Now I don't even think you can see much of it at all to begin with. So you may not be able to see it here, but here it's taken away the sharpness of the hair, and it's because it's shifted those colors, right? It shifted that fringing. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm actually going to compound this by applying that filter several times. Now you can either come in here and apply the same thing over and over again, or you just come down to filter lens correction, or you can just hit the F key, okay, which is going to play it several times. Okay, so now I've played that loads of times. You can see, right, look, if you see here, you can see the shift, right? You can see the shift of the colors there now. Okay, so how many did we do there? What we did, 1, 2, 3. So maybe we come back one. Yeah, so we start compounding it. Let's just run that 3 times. I think 3 times is fine. Now this is okay to have this shift, but it's not looking realistic with the type of lens. You can see the color shift really prominently up there now because it's worse towards the edges, and less so. You see how prominent it is up here compared to the eye down here in the middle, right? So what I wanted to do is I want to kind of blur, soften these color shifts, because the older lenses were slightly softer towards the edge as well. So we just come in here, filter, and we're going to blur and I'm going to go with the radial blur. So normally what this would be is this would be the spin, but rather than a spin, I'm actually going to zoom it, and what this will do is it will have minimal, if you look at the diagram here, so there's minimal blurring in the middle, right, because you're zooming in, but there's huge amount of blurring towards the outside, and that's kind of what I want. I want to blur this around the outside but leave the middle fairly unaffected. So I don't know, something like, let's just try 11. Okay, that's way too much. It doesn't preview it, so I just have to see. I've got 6. Do you know what? I don't mind that, you know. I appreciate it. It feels fairly aggressive, but you have to remember that I'm trying to get rid of these pixels a little bit. So I'm just trying to give it this sense of energy. Yeah, and you can see how much more dramatic it is towards the outside, and it's blurred. It's blurred at the edges a lot, but it's kind of left the eye not too bad. Okay. And then lastly, we just want to knock it back even more. One way to do that is to apply, noise on top of the noise that's already there. The noise that's already there is the pixels. So what we can do is apply, like grain, for example, and we can do that using techniques in Photoshop, or what we can do, and what I would probably recommend. Vlad might recommend something different, but because he obviously does a lot with grain. But what I found was just actual images online where people have photographed film grain and that sort of stuff. And I think there's one here that I found. So this one, I found this one, I just downloaded them. So 35mm grain stills, okay? So you just grab those, and then this is free to download. I don't even think you need, yeah, there you go. I don't even think you need to sign up for anything. I don't know why I hit download on there. Hopefully it didn't slow the stream down. But yeah, so you just download those, and then let's have a look. I'll put the link to that in there. So let's have a look. Okay, so here we go. So we got our. So there we go. It seems pretty innocuous, right? So we just need to grab something. They've got a bunch of different films in there. We got Kodak T-Max. We've got a color image, so we actually want to use something with like a film with color grain. So I'm just going to open up the Kodak Portra one there. And these are pretty big. These are pretty big files. So 6,000 pixels by 4,000 pixels at 300. So, pretty chunky, right? So we're just going to spin this around. And hold the shift key so it puts it in the center. So at the moment, not looking great. We need to change the blend mode here, and overlay is probably going to give you the most impactful, gritty effect. If you want to soften it back, you just use soft light. It's far more subtle, and you can really only see it in the shadows. Yeah. And then linear is going to give you that absolutely 1990s Polaroid look. But joking aside, you can see that this is the color film now, right? You can see the because this is a picture of actual film. You can see the color that's in the grain of that film. So I think overlay is a happy medium, and that's just gonna de-hance the image overall, right? So if we look at where it was, just to give a little bit of an edge back to the shot, and once you've, I just made an action for this just because I had 10 images to do, so I was like, let's just whack through them. I'm trying to think where I saved the images. There it is. Okay. I don't know why it took me so long. So yeah, we can. So this one is already kind of soft. I'm actually, because the action is designed for a portrait image, I'm just gonna buzz this counterclockwise, and then I've just got an action up here, so I'm just going to run that. So that's running the, so that's doing everything that I just did, but in one full motion. It just means that all the images would look the same. Okay, so now if we just look, see, I don't actually mind that effect there. I mean, but you can see the pixels there a little bit. I don't know whether you can on stream, but there's a little like kind of pixels there a little bit, and then here we've kind of like removed it almost entirely, and that looks legit to me. I'm pretty happy with that, and we can see the shifting here, like the color shifting here that you would get with an older style lens, which I'm kind of into towards the edges. That's actually pretty cool. It's actually pretty cool. Yeah. Okay, I like that a lot actually. Yeah. If you guys are interested, maybe I'll make it. I'll just, if I'm hard pushed for time one week, maybe I'll just rattle this through as a Technique Tuesday and give you guys the action as well. But yeah, that is actually pretty cool. Let's try it. Let's try one more. Let's run the action. So this one's got aggressive. Okay, I actually softened it up. That's actually nice. Yeah. I know I did this myself, but blowing my own trumpet. But I do. It actually looks pretty damn cool. Like towards the edges out here, kind of like it. Yeah. I'm into it. Yeah, nice. Okay. So yeah, so my point there is, you can get a lot of these plugins and that sort of stuff and play around with them, and the presets that they've got in there is just one click, job done, and off you go. But you can do so much of it in Photoshop yourself. You just have to kind of play around and kind of make it work. I really wanted a specific look that I was after, so I didn't really need all the features that De-hancing, although I am very tempted by De-hancing just because it looks like it has some really cool looking color effects and stuff in there that might be nice to get inspiration on. Boris FX is definitely not for me, but I could see who it would be useful for, especially if you're doing CGI and that sort of thing. Could be cool. But yeah, download this as well. I just googled these guys. Again, I have no clue. It looks like they sell actual film stock grain here as well. So yeah. Oh, and they give you an example of how to use them there as well. So yeah, have a look at those. Let's have a look. Just gonna start wrapping things up. Any questions on anything I just covered there or anything like that before we head off? This is huge things, being able to trigger everything in one trigger. You're talking about the actual presets and that sort of stuff. It's job done, and then you're off to the next images. Yeah. 10 years learning in one click. Don't mate, don't. I have music video people asking about explosions in videos in the video, and I have a week to learn how to revise them. Really? Everybody wants it instantly now, and if you were just knocking through music videos, contrary to what the general public think, music videos do not have a huge budget unless it's coming from a major label, but even then it's nowhere near the budget that other commercial jobs that require the same skills and prep work that a music video would have. So like Boris FX, like for something like that, where you just whacking something in the background, mask somebody out, have an explosion in the background, looks legit. Yeah, you could definitely justify that. What sort of projector? I don't know, just an old second-hand one on eBay. It's nothing crazy. I do have an article on my website of what's the best projector to buy, like how to buy a projector, things to look out for. So have a, if that's what you're asking for, it's like, oh, I might want to get one to play with. If that's what you're asking, then yeah, I can certainly give you a link for that. How's the shot done? It is done with a projector, Danny. Yeah. Back to work. Have a great. Yeah. Hey, no worries, Andrew. Yeah, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, these projections you made yourself, or found ones. Yeah, these are these are all mine. Yeah. Hey, no worries, Steve. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, CGI is hard. Oh, here we go. What's the best projector to buy for your next photo shoot? What a great article. So useful. I can't believe somebody put that together. That's exactly what I was looking for. Yeah, have a look at that. Because us as photographers need projectors for different things compared to watching the footy on, right? So it really depends what you're going to use it for. If you're going to be honest with yourself and just use it like a couple of times a month for photo shoots, then you want to be looking for different things compared to watching it on the white wall at home or something. Yeah. CGI hard, maybe working on it a bit hard, but appreciate Marvel a million times for digital effects. Yeah, yeah. I was talking to a CGI guy a long time ago. This was when the original Wonder Woman came out, and he was saying that, look, we make the movie first. Years ago, it used to be, the big paid actors and actresses would go out there and make the movie, and then the CGI guys would come in afterwards and work on that footage, right? It's not like that anymore. Like, the CGI guys are fucking important now, and they cost so much because of how much they have to do, is that they make the movie first, and then the actors and actresses have to run and jump with the CGI that's already been made, right? Not the other way around. So, like, the CGI world is yeah. I mean, it's, when he was saying that when he's doing a film, because he works on like Marvel films. I forget what he said, but I think he's out there in New York doing them as well. But I think he's working for like months at a time, pretty much flat out, right? And then he'll have 2 months off or something like that. I think he's just working every single day, and then like sleeping at the office, whatever, and then it's just off for 2 months. So they are full on, full off. Yeah. It would have, if I would have listened to it, it would have gotten an LCD projector instead of a deal. But yeah, mate, yeah, you only make that mistake once. Yeah. With AI on our doorstep, I personally feel we need to adapt to make fantastic work, and each shot as good is not just not good enough. It'd be interesting to see where the AI goes with it. Yeah, I think, just last thought on this, the guy that I was talking to at the weekend said something interesting. He said, look, NFTs are a bit of a joke. Everybody laughs at NFTs, right? The crypto bros and all that sort of stuff, circle jerking each other until the end of time is fine and all. But he was saying that, ironically, the NFT technology in terms of the blockchain to actually be able to track the life of a raw file, right? So basically your raw file will be on the blockchain in terms of, this is a real image taken by a real human. Here is the blockchain proof of that originality of that shot. So look, I think it'll be interesting to see where it goes. But that sort of thing is not out of the realms of possibilities, right? Crazy times indeed. Yeah, crazy times indeed. Look, guys, let's just wrap this up. It's getting people got things to do. I got dinner to eat. Thank you so much, as always, to people who tuned in. Always fun chatting to you guys. And if anybody has any advice on homemade LED strips to make LED tubes and that sort of thing, please let me know. I know a couple of you have already mentioned it to me. I actually want to see if I can make some myself and see what I can do with those. If anybody's got any tips or pointers on those, I think it was Dave who mentioned it to me last time. I need to follow up on that. But yeah, thank you to everybody who posted an image as well. Incredible images as always, amazing shots, absolutely gorgeous images to look at and play with. So yeah, hopefully had fun. Always good hanging out, and yeah, hopefully 2 weeks time will be the next one. All right, guys. So stay safe, take care. Catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.